Alright, hey, what's up guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. I'm going to change things up a little bit today. I'm going to do more of a discussion topic, and what I'd like to do is I'd like you guys in the comments section to kind of give your answers or give your opinions on the topic that we're going to discuss. I got a comment from a YouTube handle, War Sports, asking about the evolution of schemes, formations, and systems and how those things came about. So just going to give a little bit of my opinion, and then to change things up a little bit, I would like to do it more of a discussion type topic. I know it's not a live topic. In the future, I think we're going to start doing some live stuff. But in the comment section, I want you guys to talk about your opinion of some of these things. Remember to check out our sponsors. I got GameStrat. There'll be a link taking you directly to GameStrat's website in our description box in the video below. GameStrat is our sideline replay system that we use, so please make sure you check them out. DifferenceUSA, which is the ultimate striking machine. We have one in our weight room. You can work on striking in the off-season, hand placement, elbows in, coiling and uncoiling of the hips, and how you strike and where your eyes need to go, so you can work on it without a partner. Don't need a bag, don't need a med ball. All you need is the ultimate striking machine hooked up in your weight room. JustPlayFB is a digital software tool that I use, and if I'm going to draw diagram plays, I use JustPlayFB. We don't really use a playbook per se in my school, but if I'm going to do webinars or clinics, I always diagram my plays with JustPlayFB. Defensive Coordinator 1 is an in-game app that allows you to make critical adjustments based on live in-game data. So you have a template that you've got you've got your scouting reports and tendencies and formations, and then you're actually charting the game, seeing what the other team is actually running, and then making your adjustments off of the things that you're calling against what they're actually running. So take some of the guesswork out of the changes or the adjustments that you're making on the field, and make it literally based on live in-game data. And then Dome Hats, it's a major sponsor of Play Fast Football. This is my black Play Fast Football hat from Dome Hats. All right, every hat has a story. Dome Hats wants to help you tell yours. You got a great custom online hat builder where you can generate your own hat with changing the different panels, make them different colors, put your own logo on the front, put writing on the back or the side. So make sure you check out Dome Hats. Dome Hats, JustPlayFB, Defensive Coordinator 1, GameStrat will all be vendors at the Play Fast Football Clinic, the first one that we are ever doing, January 24th, 25th, 26th in St. Augustine, Florida. So if you are coming to the Play Fast Clinic, you'll get a chance to meet and talk with those companies there. So we appreciate their support. So in discussing the topic a little bit, talking about schemes and formations and systems and the evolution of each one of those. And obviously, if you go back to the root of football, when football started, obviously football was being played a certain way, and most teams were probably at that time were playing football very similar in nature. The forward pass had not been evolved yet, or the forward pass was not a legal part of football yet, so it was all running game and probably based out of most of the same formations. And then in my opinion, what grew from there is as teams played each other and had success or lack of success. With anything that changes, I think innovation and invention is out of necessity and experiment. So you start playing football and teams are all playing in a very similar nature, and then you got to figure out a way to win football games on offense and defense. So you start making some tweaks to some things at that time, going back over 100 years, at the origin of the game, at that time looking at what they needed to do to adjust to what teams were doing to them, and then coaches start wrinkling some things and making some adjustments on offense and defense. And then the evolution of the forward pass obviously changed the game dramatically when the ball was allowed to be thrown downfield. So then when you get the forward pass involved, then you start getting passing concepts involved, and now when you get passing concepts involved, now formations start to wrinkle a little bit when you're trying to find a way to get your eligible receivers involved. So you might be wrinkling formations to get more eligible receivers or tight ends uncovered, what have you, whatever formation wrinkles start to come. And then it got to the evolution of the modern passing game, maybe starting with Sid Gilman, spreading the field out a little bit and putting routes into areas where vertically and horizontally the defense didn't have enough players to cover those areas. So then formationally and route concepts start to change within the evolution of the passing game. And in the run game, the evolution of what needed to be done, pulling guys from the backside, power plays, counter plays, misdirection, using guys in motion and jet sweep. And then formationally, how can we get a numbers advantage or an angles advantage? So trying to change some things formationally, and then getting to blitzes and what the defenses are doing, getting into maybe more of a zone style running game to where you can handle more post snap movements and more blitzes in an easier fashion when you're seeing more fronts and more looks. So to me, it's all about the evolution of the game, and innovation comes from necessity and experiment. And as guys go on, they just start to wrinkle some things a little bit. And it was probably really good. I imagine in the beginning of football, it was probably really good because anytime you wanted to try something, you really couldn't say, don't do that because so-and-so doesn't do it. You were doing new things, and you didn't have to worry about any critics out there saying, well, I wouldn't do that because nobody else does it. When it's new and it's innovative, nobody's done it, and that's what makes it new. If you think about any invention that has helped us throughout the history of time, whether it be cars or smartphones or microwaves, whatever it may be, at some point nobody was doing those things, and somebody thought that it was a good idea, and they put some things together, and lo and behold, you have innovation. And I think football's the same way. If people are willing to kind of go out and dip their toe in the water a little bit and say, hey, I'm going to try this. The day and age we're at now, I don't know how much is really new. I think everything has been done before. There's just some tweaks on what has been, what has or hasn't been tried, either from a formation or from a run scheme or a passing concept. But I don't think anything's new. I just think everything's borrowed. And I think we're all waiting on the next new thing that hasn't been done. But I think everything, if you look at 2019 and you look at, I always look at college football because that's where my passion is and where my love is, because it's so close to the high school game. I look at all the things that are going on out there are just wrinkles or modifications to things that have been going on for 100 years. They're just done in a newer fashion from different formations or different looks. But you look at something like RPOs. RPOs are really just an evolution of option football. And I know that there's probably some true option-based people out there that'll tell you RPOs aren't option, but to me, what else are they? If you're reading a player post-snap with a mesh, and based on what that player does, you're deciding on whether to give a ball or throw a ball, isn't that an option? And I'm not here to make the argument of what is and what isn't, but in my opinion, RPO is option football. Speaking of option football, the way that I understood it occurred, and again, this may not be 100% factual, but the midline option play came off a mistake that was made in practice where an option team was running a veer play and they blocked it wrong and they left a down guy unblocked, and when the quarterback put the ball into the stomach of the fullback, instinctively he saw that the down player inside was tackling the fullback, so he just pulled the ball and kind of made something happen after that, and coaches went back and watched it in practice. And they said, wait a minute, we might have something here. What if we actually add to our option game and we leave an interior guy unblocked? So in my research and my study and the stories that I've heard or people have told me, midline option was an evolution in the option game based on a mistake made in practice. And sometimes that's how the greatest things occur. So, the evolution of all the things that have gone on in football are based out of necessity, based on trying to get better, and then based on experiment. As far as systems are concerned, what I think systems came down to is systems were an organized way of getting an offense or a defense taught, and an organized way to attack something with answers and having answers built in to complement your system that you are running. And then I think the names of systems came about just based out of pure marketing. So somebody comes up with something on offense or defense and it's really good, and then they say, hey, if we name this, we can get a lot more traction. So if we just have a collection of plays in formations and it doesn't have a name, it's kind of hard to market it, or it's hard to sell it, whether it be selling it to recruits, whether it be selling it to free agents in the NFL market. I think the naming of systems came based on wanting to be able to market yourself and be different than some other people. So, the wing T system probably came from formationally. It was probably formationally based, and then the runs within the wing T, how the formation was named originally, the backfield sets or the wings, or just looking at that, that's where that system came from. But when you look at, like we talked about the other day, the air raid. The air raid was a name Mike Leach gave to an offense, and him and Hal Mumme were kind of tweaking and running, and he gave it the name air raid. That's where it came from. West Coast offense, whatever you want to call, the West Coast offensive system and the evolution of it. Maybe, if it was being run by teams on the West Coast, wherever that name came from, the West Coast offense gave something that was a particular type of system. It gave it a name, and then it gave people that were running that system a way to say, yeah, we're a West Coast team. All right, or we're a wing T team, we're an air team. Flexbone. All right, a flex version of wishbone probably is where it evolves from. And formationally, it came down to where flexbone became these formations, and it became this system of option football, and then it evolved from there. We've talked about spread football. I talked about it in my last video. I still don't even know what it is. To this day, I don't even know what spread football is, but when, I know for me, in the studies that I've done, when Urban Meyer was doing some things at Bowling Green, and he was doing them in a 2x2 set, his explanation was he was brought up in a wishbone background and had been around a lot of wishbone, and he just took the wishbone and he made the two tailbacks and he put them out into the slots, and he left the fullback either behind the quarterback or in the shotgun, and he basically had a spread out version of wishbone, and he was running a lot of option principles. So, as far as that's concerned, that's just an offshoot of the wishbone offense, broken into a shotgun 2x2 set and running option principles. And then the word spread, I guess because formations were spread out, I guess you could say that's where it came from. I still don't think there's an answer. I still don't think there's a definition, because I think multiple people get labeled as spread teams, and there's spread teams that are power running attacks. There's spread teams that throw the ball. In my opinion, spread would mean you're probably playing without a tight end, and most of your formations are removed formations. But then there's a lot of spread teams that now use bunched or condensed formations. So I really don't know if you can say what spread is. So, the evolution of the 46 defense and the Buddy Ryan 46 defense, and it was actually named, based off the guy that was wearing number 46, who was the adjuster in the defense. And I'm pretty sure it's Doug Plank. I've talked about it before, but I'm pretty sure that's the guy that was the adjuster. And when Buddy Ryan put the defense in, he said, I'm going to call it the 46 defense because Doug Plank is the guy that does all the adjusting. He wears number 46. Things get named because names are easier to market, they're easier to sell, and then they're more recognizable. So right away, if you say 46 defense, everybody relates it to Buddy Ryan or the Chicago Bears, or they relate it to, a double eagle set with somebody on the nose, and if it's 21 personnel, there's probably a guy viced on a tight end with two edge rushers to the strong side and the weak side. And so names give people something to recognize, and then they give you something to market. So as far as the evolution of all these things, I would say that schemes evolved out of necessity, formations evolved out of necessity, and then systems evolved out of the need or the want to market and identify what you're doing in a little bit easier fashion. But the goal of the topic today is I want comments from you. I want to hear what you think about the evolution of schemes, formations, and systems. I want to hear from you what you think systems are, or what you think certain schemes are. All right, this is a discussion topic. Gave you a little bit of my opinion on what I think some of those things are. And again, that's just my opinion on some of the things I've studied and the research I've done. I'm not saying that it is 100% factual. I'm not saying that it's 100% be-all, end-all. What I'm saying is, in the research I do, and I do a lot of studying on my own, and I look at things and I read them and I find videos on them, and then I just put my spin on it. So, my take is things evolved out of necessity, had to move the ball, had to score. Football started a certain way, probably very similar in nature, formation and run game, and then the run game then evolved from there, and then teams tweaked formations, and then the forward pass came about, and then teams tweaked the passing game, and then, option football, teams tweaked that, and then RPOs and teams tweaked that. So that's my take on it. I want to know what your take on it is, so please feel free to comment in the comment section below. Remember to turn on your notifications so you know when we do these videos. Remember to click thumbs up, thumbs down, either way, like it, don't like it, interact with the video. Makes it better for me to know what content people want and what content people don't want. Any interaction on the video is appreciated. I don't get upset when anybody puts thumbs down anybody makes negative comments. These are my opinions on some things. I appreciate you watching. Remember that we got our first PlayFest clinic coming up, January 24th, 25th, 26th, St. Augustine, Florida, Embassy Suites, www.playfestfbclinic.com. Early registrations ends January 1st, so please make sure you're checking that out. The registration is starting to pick up. We've got 6 or 7 really good, strong vendors that we absolutely love with PlayFest football, so I think it's going to be an intimate setting where the vendors aren't going to be there's not going to be 40 vendors every time you walk by. You can't get by a table because somebody's grabbing you. I think it's going to be an intimate setting with exclusive vendors that are the only ones in their field at the clinic, and the speaker list is off the charts for a first-year clinic. For any clinic, I'll put our speaker list in a high school clinic up with anybody, and that I might be biased, but I think the results with 13 or 14 state championships and over 1,650 or 1,700 wins, if I had myself in there, I think our clinic speakers are going to be great. I think it's going to be a good time, and we are going to tweak it. And just like this topic today, my clinic will be tweaked. It will evolve. It will grow out of necessity. Innovation will come at that clinic, and the next time we do one, it'll be bigger and even better. So I appreciate everything you guys do for me. I appreciate everything you guys have done for PlayFast football. As always, you won't play well until you play fast. I'll see you guys next time.